Welcome, everyone. Today, we're jumping right into an overview of one of the most profoundly influential texts in human history, the Bhagavad Gita. Whether you're a philosophy student, someone exploring mental well-being, or just trying to navigate the crazy complexities of modern life, the Gita actually offers a completely timeless blueprint. By the end of this explainer, you'll understand not just what this ancient text is, but how you can directly apply its teachings to the everyday challenges you're facing right now. Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to start by asking yourself a question. What if the ultimate guide to inner peace was actually delivered right in the middle of a brutal, chaotic war? It sounds like a total paradox, doesn't it? But, well, that's exactly where our story begins. And honestly, it's what makes this text so remarkably relevant to us today. We're looking at a warrior named Arjuna. Now, he isn't sitting cross-legged meditating in some quiet, isolated cave. He's standing on a chariot, smack in the middle of two massive armies, completely paralyzed by a moral crisis. He literally drops his bow, just overwhelmed by despair and anxiety. And really, this is something we can all relate to, right? Feeling totally frozen when you're faced with an impossible decision or an incredibly stressful situation in your own life? So, here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the battlefield moral crisis. Then, understanding the Bhagavad Gita, followed by the Upanishads versus the Gita. After that, we're climbing the yoga ladder, bridging ancient wisdom with modern psychology, and finally, witnessing the infinite form. Let's kick things off with part 1, the battlefield moral crisis. As I mentioned, the Bhagavad Gita doesn't take place in some serene forest retreat. It is set on the incredibly chaotic, high-stress battlefield of Kurukshetra. So why does this matter to you? Well, because Kurukshetra perfectly mirrors the daily chaos we all face. The Gita is really about practicing spiritual truths right in the thick of extreme, real-world stress. It's not about running away from your problems. It's about figuring out how to act effectively right in the middle of them. Moving right along to part 2, understanding the Bhagavad Gita. Let's look at a quick snapshot of the core facts here. The Bhagavad Gita, which literally translates to God's song, is a highly concise 700-verse dialogue written in Sanskrit, and it's divided up into 18 chapters. Historians tell us it was likely composed somewhere in the 2nd or 1st century BCE, traditionally attributed to the sage Vyasa. Crucially, though, it doesn't just stand alone. It's actually embedded right in the middle of the massive Indian epic poem, the Mahabharata. It acts as this powerful synthesis of different strands of ancient Indian thought, bringing together ideas about duty, knowledge, and devotion, all in one place. And its impact definitely isn't limited to just India or religion. The Gita's universal themes of duty and detachment cross borders and deeply influenced Western literature. As researchers have noted, it inspired transcendentalist poets and major modernist novelists. We're talking heavy hitters like T.S. Eliot, Aldous Huxley, and Hermann Hesse. It truly offers this amazing cross-cultural literary dialogue that is still shaping how writers and thinkers approach spiritual wisdom today. All right, that brings us to part 3, the Upanishads versus the Gita. This comparison is absolutely crucial because it clearly separates the abstract from the practical. The Upanishads are considered Shruti, meaning absolute revelation. They're meant for renunciants and philosophers who are, say, meditating in a silent forest. Their primary focus is pure knowledge, and they ask the ultimate contemplative question, what is real? The Bhagavad Gita, on the other hand, is Smriti, which means remembered tradition. It's meant for active people, householders, professionals, students. It asks a much more immediate, boots-on-the-ground question, how should I live? It integrates different paths of yoga to actually teach us how to act selflessly while remaining fully engaged in the busy world around us. Traditional scholars use this brilliant, simple daily life example to explain this relationship. They say the Upanishads are the philosophical source, the cows. The Bhagavad Gita, then, is the actionable, practical fruit. It's the milk drawn from those cows. It essentially takes these deeply mystical, abstract truths of the universe and makes them entirely digestible, actionable, and ready for you to use in your everyday life. Now, let's step up to part 4, climbing the yoga ladder. Academic researchers actually study this progressive system thoroughly. In Indian philosophical systems, this yoga ladder begins at the absolute lowest material condition of a living entity and rises all the way up to perfect self-realization. And by the way, just to clarify, the word yoga in this context isn't just about stretching on a mat. It literally means union with the Supreme. So the ladder is divided into these progressive stages. It starts at the bottom with karma yoga, which is the path of selfless action. Then it moves upward to jnana yoga, the path of knowledge. Next up is Astanga Yoga, or Dhyana Yoga, the path of meditation. And finally, it culminates at the very top in Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion. Now, these aren't just isolated random concepts, they tightly interconnect. You climb from understanding your duty in the world, to gaining true knowledge, to focusing your mind, and finally to achieving ultimate spiritual connection. It's a comprehensive framework designed specifically to help mitigate human suffering.
Let's shift gears a bit for part 5, Ancient Wisdom, Modern Psychology.
Think back to Arjuna on that battlefield, completely paralyzed by anxiety. Contemporary psychologists have pointed out something incredible. The dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna actually reads like an early documented session of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. Krishna essentially acts as a psychotherapist. Arjuna is exhibiting negative automatic thoughts and cognitive distortions, like totally catastrophizing the terrible outcome of the war. And Krishna uses psychoeducation to challenge those distortions. It offers an amazingly powerful, timeless message about the importance of seeking mental health support when your mind is just overwhelmed. The parallels here are truly remarkable. Take Mayer and Salovey's modern model of emotional intelligence. The fourth branch of their model is all about emotional management. While thousands of years ago, the Gita described this exact same concept using the Sanskrit term sthitaprajna, which translates to an emotionally stable person. Both of these frameworks, ancient and modern, emphasize the absolute necessity of regulating your emotions, keeping them in check by deliberately withdrawing your feelings from the immediate, overwhelming objects of pleasure or pain. The Gita actually identifies unmanaged desire, anger, and attachment as the root causes of our misery. The ultimate goal here is equanimity. Imagine you're at school or maybe in a high-pressure corporate job, and absolutely everything around you is going completely wrong. Being a sthita prajna means you stay completely balanced. You maintain your inner stability irrespective of those chaotic, storm-like circumstances swirling all around you. Which brings us to our final section, Part 6, Witnessing the Infinite Form. At a certain point, intellectual understanding just isn't enough. Arjuna asks to physically see the ultimate reality. So Lord Krishna grants him divine vision, revealing the Virat Swarup, a cosmic, infinite form. Arjuna says, "I behold you, endless to forms on all sides." He essentially sees the Supreme containing all of creation. It's divided into countless forms and parts, yet somehow it remains entirely one. This form is completely beyond human comprehension. It contains all beings, all gods, and all cosmic energy. It has no beginning, no middle, and absolutely no end. Yet, amidst this overwhelming, boundless vastness, Arjuna is still able to recognize familiar divine symbols, like a crown, a mace, a discus. The text describes the sheer brilliance of this cosmic form as being like blazing fire, or 1,000 suns in the sky. It's a powerful reminder that this divine energy permeates absolutely every single corner of the universe. Let's do a really quick recap. We've seen how the Gita takes abstract philosophy and distills it into practical wisdom on a chaotic battlefield. It gives us a structured ladder of yoga to elevate our minds, it brilliantly mirrors modern psychology to help us conquer our anxieties, and finally, it reveals a boundless, infinite perspective of the universe. Now, as we wrap up this overview, I want to leave you with this meaningful thought. The Bhagavad Gita isn't just an ancient book meant to gather dust on a shelf. It's a direct call to action. So how can you take this vast, selfless perspective and apply it to your own daily life? How can you find your own inner peace right in the exact middle of your own battles? Think about that, try to apply it, and keep learning.